Drill Surgeon Castel had seen many species pass through the Galactic Defense Force training facility, but humans, or Deathworlders, as they were whispered about in the barracks, remained an enigma that defied his 20 cycles of experience. Again, he bellowed, mandibles clicking with irritation. How can any sentient find this so difficult? The obstacle course stretched before the exhausted cadets, a standard level 3 endurance challenge designed to push recruits to their physiological limits. Most species found it challenging but manageable. The human, however, appeared particularly frustrated. Cadet Tom Anderson stood out among his alien peers, not just for being the only human in the class, but for his stocky frame that seemed perpetually coiled with potential energy. Sweat gleamed on his forehead despite the climate controls calibrated for optimal comfort across 17 different respiratory systems. "With respect, Sergeant," Tom said between controlled breaths, "I don't think it's difficult. I think it's backward." A ripple of translator-delayed gasps spread through the assembled trainees. No one questioned Sergeant Castel's methods. The six-limbed drill instructor's scaly head swiveled toward the human. "Explained herself, Deathworlder. The course." Tom gestured with a surprisingly steady hand. "On Earth, we'd run it in reverse. The sequence doesn't make biomechanical sense this way." Lieutenant Drix, the secondary training officer, approached with his data tablet. "Sir, perhaps we should consider—" "Silence!" Castel snapped. "I've trained warriors from across 3 galactic arms. This course follows principles established by the finest physiologists in Council space." Tom shrugged. "Maybe for Centaurians or Praxians, but not for humans. Let me demonstrate." Before Castel could object, Tom jogged to what most species considered the finish line. The assembled cadets watched in confusion as the human positioned himself at the wrong end of the track. "Cadet Anderson, return to your position immediately or face disciplinary." Tom bolted. What followed caused 3 training officers to activate their emergency beacons and 1 cadet from a low-gravity world to faint outright. Instead of navigating the obstacles as designed, scaling walls, then navigating balance beams before crawling through tunnels, and finally sprinting the gravity-variable track, Tom attacked it backward. He sprinted the variable gravity section with ease, his body somehow compensating for the shifting forces faster than the course could adjust its parameters. When he reached the tunnels, instead of dropping to crawl through, he leaped atop them, running across their curved surfaces with precise footwork. The monitoring system began flashing warnings. No cadet had ever generated these particular error messages before. The balance beams were next. Rather than carefully crossing them as intended, Tom treated them as launch platforms, using his momentum to propel himself from one to another in explosive jumps that the safety systems hadn't been programmed to anticipate. Finally, at the climbing walls, Tom didn't climb at all. He backed up several paces, then ran forward, using his momentum and the wall's angled surface to propel himself upward, catching the top edge and swinging over in one fluid motion that completely bypassed the intended challenge. He landed with practiced precision at what most considered the starting line, barely even breathing hard. "Time?" Tom asked casually. Lieutenant Drix's upper appendages trembled as he checked his tablet. 1 minute, 42 seconds. That's 3 minutes faster than the course record. Castel's compound eyes dilated with what his species expressed as shock. "Impossible." "Not for a Deathworlder," Tom said. "Look, our planet has 1.1 g gravity. We evolved in an environment where predators came from all directions. Our muscles develop under constant resistance, and our vestibular system handles spatial reorientation better than most species." The drill surgeon's translator struggled to convey the complex mixture of emotions in his response. "But the course is designed according to biomechanical progression." "For most council species," Tom nodded. "But humans need to work against resistance first, then transition to balance and coordination challenges. When we're already fatigued from the coordination sections, the power-based obstacles become dangerous, not challenging. We call it reverse loading in our training protocols." The other cadets had gathered closer now, their varied anatomies expressing different forms of astonishment. "Are all humans capable of this?" asked a wide-eyed cadet with translucent skin. Tom shook his head. Not to the same degree, but our basic physiology is adapted to burst exertion followed by recovery cycles. Your course design fights against that natural rhythm. Lieutenant Drix was rapidly entering notes, while Castle seemed frozen in calculation. Sergeant, Drix finally said, Central Command's Directive 47B specifically mandates that training protocols must be adaptable to all physiologically cleared species. If humans perform better with reverse progression, Castle's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep thought among his kind. You ran it backward to show us the proper way forward. Tom nodded. For humans, yes. Each species might have their optimal sequence. That evening, the training officers gathered in emergency session. Surveillance footage of Tom's demonstration played on repeat as xenophysiologists joined via holographic link, frantically taking notes. Meanwhile, in the barracks, Tom became the reluctant center of attention. Why did you not mention this sooner? Asked his bunkmate, a four-armed cadet from a jungle moon. Tom shrugged. Because sometimes it's better to show than tell, especially when you come from a planet most of the galaxy calls a death trap. Word spread quickly throughout the academy. By morning, the training officers had implemented individualized course progressions for each species, and Castle had submitted Tom's name for advanced tactical training. Sometimes, the most valuable lessons came from those willing to run in the opposite direction of convention.